relationship between science and religion has been a long-standing and contentious issue, with many scientists attempting to convince Christians that God is not real. This endeavor is not driven by a desire to eradicate spirituality or undermine personal beliefs, but rather to promote a reliance on empirical evidence and rational thinking. At its core, science is a method of understanding the world through observation, experimentation, and the formulation of testable hypotheses. In contrast, religious beliefs are often based on faith, tradition, and scripture, which can be at odds with the scientific method. One of the primary reasons scientists try to convince Christians that God is not real is to promote a more nuanced understanding of the natural world. By attributing natural phenomena to supernatural causes, religious beliefs can stifle scientific inquiry and hinder our ability to develop a deeper understanding of the world around us. For instance, the concept of intelligent design, which posits that certain features of the natural world are too complex to have evolved through natural processes, can be seen as a hindrance to scientific progress. By attributing the complexity of light to a divine creator, scientists are discouraged from exploring alternative explanations and testing hypotheses through empirical research. Moreover, the rejection of scientific principles in favor of religious dogma can have significant consequences for public health and policy. The anti-vaccination movement, which has been fueled in part by religious objections to vaccine development, is a prime example of the dangers of prioritizing faith over empirical evidence. By spreading misinformation and discouraging the use of life-saving vaccines, this movement has put countless lives at risk and undermined efforts to prevent the spread of infectious diseases. In this context, scientists' efforts to convince Christians that God is not real are motivated by a desire to promote evidence-based decision-making and protect public health. Another reason scientists may try to convince Christians that God is not real is to address the perceived inconsistencies and contradictions within religious doctrine. The concept of an all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-loving God, for example, is difficult to reconcile with the existence of evil and suffering in the world. The problem of evil, as it is known, has been a long-standing challenge to religious believers, and scientists may argue that it is more parsimonious to attribute the existence of evil to natural causes rather than a divine plan. Additionally, the many contradictions and inconsistencies within religious scripture, such as the Bible, can be seen as evidence that these texts are not divine in origin, but rather the product of human imagination and cultural influence. It is also worth noting that the scientific community's skepticism towards religious beliefs is not unique to Christianity. Scientists are equally skeptical of other religious traditions, including Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism, and their criticisms are not motivated by a desire to persecute or marginalize religious minorities. Rather, scientists are committed to evaluating all claims, regardless of their cultural or religious origin, through the lens of empirical evidence and rational inquiry. This approach is not meant to be dismissive or disrespectful of personal beliefs, but rather to promote a culture of critical thinking and intellectual honesty. In conclusion, scientists' efforts to convince Christians that God is not real are motivated by a desire to promote a more nuanced understanding of the natural world, protect public health, and address the perceived inconsistencies and contradictions within religious doctrine. While these efforts may be perceived as confrontational or dismissive of personal beliefs, they are ultimately driven by a commitment to empirical evidence and rational inquiry. By encouraging a culture of critical thinking and intellectual honesty, scientists hope to promote a more informed and nuanced understanding of the world, and to inspire future generations to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM. Ultimately, the relationship between science and religion is complex and multifaceted, and scientists' criticisms of religious beliefs should be seen as an opportunity for constructive dialogue and intellectual exchange rather than a source of conflict or division.